The new Supreme Court complex at White Park officially opened by Prime Minister Frendell Stewart. Local tourism authorities are buoyed by the cruise passenger arrivals, and in sports, the West Indies captain censured after the first test.
Credible, balanced, committed. This is the CBC Evening News.
A very good evening to you. I'm Pearson Bowen. This is the CBC Evening News. The Barbados Supreme Court complex was officially opened this evening by Prime Minister Frendell Stewart. Damien Best has the details.
Prime Minister Frendell Stewart created history as he unveiled a plaque bearing his name. The building, construction of which was financed under an agreement with White Park Development Limited, will house the Supreme Court, the Registration Department, and the Community Legal Services Commission. Addressing members of Cabinet, the legal fraternity, and staff of the complex, Prime Minister Frendell Stewart made it clear that the new building must make a difference.
If after the fine speeches and an impressive event this evening, prisoners are going to continue to endure remand for in some cases up to 5 and 6 years, what we do here this evening will count for nothing. If in the opinion of a suffering mother or child, delinquent fathers whom everyone else can find, this or that marshal of court still says he or she cannot find, what we do here this evening will count for nothing. If litigants have to continue to wait in some cases for years to get a judicial decision, what we do here this evening will count for nothing.
Attorney General Adriel Bathwaite said the provision of adequate accommodation for the judiciary was always considered an important element in ensuring the quick and fair dispensation of justice and the modernization of the justice system.
For a long time, the justice system has borne much criticism from the general public, attorneys at law, and investors. The courts are at the heart of the administration of justice. Citizens must have confidence in the justice systems, which underpins our democracy. It is acknowledged that the courts have served us well over the years, but there was a need for modernization and reform. Moreover, given this country's increasing reliance on global services, the efficiency of its court system becomes central to Barbados' ability to offer and attract services in this new global environment.
Acting Chief Justice Sherman Moore promised the public that they can expect better service at the ultra-modern facility.
With a new building incorporating state-of-the-art technology, the storage and retrieval of files and legal documents of all kinds should no longer present a problem. It is therefore incumbent upon the staff of the Registration Department to ensure that misplaced files should rapidly become a thing of the past. We, the judges, also have a public duty to deliver justice in a timely manner. We have heard the complaints of the public, and we are making every effort to address those complaints.
Prime Minister Frendell Stewart credited former Chief Justice Sir David Simmons, former Attorneys General Sir Henry Ford, and Sir Maurice King for helping to make the Supreme Court complex a reality. Damien Best, CBC News.
Cruise passenger arrivals for the first 4 months of the year have been encouraging. International Transport Minister George Hudson is reporting an 8% increase in arrivals from January to April this year, compared with the corresponding period in 2010. According to him, this translated in just over 428,000 passengers, up from just over 395,000 for the same period last year. And with cruise passengers contributing almost $100 million annually to the economy, Mr. Hudson says the Bridgetown Port will continue to upgrade its human resources to promote more efficiency.
With an aging staff in some specialist positions, such as the marine engineering section, the tug captains and pilots, the port has set about to hire some young persons as cadets to enter a 5 to 6 year training program to develop the skills required as current specialist employees retire.
Mr. Hudson says the port was able to train close to half of its employees last year through an association with the Caribbean Maritime Institute, and is given the assurance that this will continue with the Institute's ongoing job analysis of the functions at the port that will lead to revised job descriptions and new performance standards.
In addition to training through the Caribbean Maritime Institute, the port is also working with specialist organizations and with the suppliers of specialist equipment such as the straddle carrier and LHM mobile crane. Safety and health recertification courses have been conducted, as well as extensive security training in surveillance detection, bomb detection, searching techniques, human resource management, computer applications, etc.
Travel agents from across the world were feted last night as part of the opening of the mega familiarization event. Organized by the Barbados Tourism Authority, the series of events will give agents the opportunity to experience the island firsthand while strengthening existing working relationships with local tourism partners. The party at the boatyard, which included local entertainment, gave travel agents an opportunity to mingle with local tourism officials. Chairman of the BTA, Adrian Alcock, encouraged the agents to enjoy every aspect of Barbados, including interacting with locals.
Those are the people that really make your visit worthwhile. When you're selling visitors about Barbados, you're selling them on the whole experience, and that experience is dictated and governed by what we call Bajans. And we believe that our people are one of our greatest assets. Here in Barbados, we feel very proud that we can have you come here. You can go around the island free. You can move safely around the island. You can turn on a tap and drink a glass of water. We think those little elements make us different. We know a lot of people have sand, sea, and sun, but there's only one Bajan. And those are the people that you'll meet while you're here.
Well, Barbadians should have been able to access wireless internet connectivity or Wi-Fi in Bridgetown from today. It's part of Lime's Wi-Fi in the City project and will be available free of charge until the end of July. Officials connected to the project are reporting steady progress. Shane Seeley has the story.
Lime and the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry sealed a deal on a $1.3 million partnership to provide Wi-Fi access in the city and its environs back in April 2011. And since the signing, Lime and BCCI officials held a public town hall meeting with the owners of potential locations to urge support for placement of equipment at their facilities. They urged property owners to support this national endeavor by Lime and the Chamber of Commerce and jointly expressed appreciation for the very positive response. Lime's vice president with responsibility for the project, Ricky Went, says they are ready to go and sites are being rolled out as quickly as formal arrangements are established with property owners. Meantime, project manager Chris Blackwood confirmed that sites at Hink Street around the Lime Carlisle House retail store, Lower Broad Street around to Chapel Street and Jubilee Gardens areas through Pelican and the Harbour Road Industrial Park, and as far north as Kensington Oval and Holborn will be active from as early as today. Throughout the installation and testing phase, people visiting Bridgetown and surrounding areas will be able to connect in active hotspots and enjoy the Lime Wi-Fi experience free of charge until July 31st this year. Shane Seeley, CBC News.
Sir Roy Trotman has retired as a member of the governing body of the International Labour Organization. He's been a member of the ILO for 20 years, with the last 9 spent as the chairman of the working group. Sir Roy was one of 4 ILO directors who led the organization between meetings.
That's the first time that anybody, and the first time that anybody from a country other than the really heavy industrialized countries, for somebody from a little country like Barbados to be in the governing body is a very great feat. For somebody from a little country like Barbados to be the boss of such an organization is almost miraculous.
Sir Roy says although he has stepped down, Barbados will still have a representative at the ILO.
We were able to have my colleague, Comrade Tony Moore, stand for an office, a position in the governing body, and that she has made it onto the list of persons who will be members of the governing body. And congratulations are due to her and to us in the Caribbean for still being able, in spite of the significant competition for space, we have yet been able to have somebody to be on the governing body.
Free HIV testing was on offer today in Barbados as well as across the rest of the Caribbean. It was all part of Regional Testing Day. The intention is to bring awareness to the importance of knowing your status. Many Barbadians went to the testing sites at Scotiabank branches. The exercise was in partnership with the Ministry of Health, the Caribbean Broadcast Media Partnership on HIV/AIDS, Scotiabank and PANCAP. Social worker and counsellor with the Ministry of Health, Marion Blackman, says the public seems to be getting the message.
Getting tested is quite important to anyone because you know your status, you know what changes you can make just in case the result is not what you would like. But it is important as far as I'm concerned. You get to know more information, the correct information instead of miss, so that you can plan your life and what you would like to do. Change your behaviors if they need to be changed.
Well, the goal of Testing Day was to have at least 10,000 people tested across the 16 participating countries in the initiative. Take a break here, but coming up we'll tell you about what's being done to improve the local black belly sheep. Efforts are on to improve the genetics of the island's prized black belly sheep. The Barbados Sheep and Goat Farmers Incorporated will be launching a breed society to look at the best quality of the stock on the island. President of the group, Wayne Smith, made the disclosure during the press briefing at the Barbados Agricultural Society this morning.
In the initial stages, what we will be doing, we'll be carrying out registration drive where our members will visit farmers and select, and let me underline that, select animals that we deem worthy of being part of the registry, and understand that this is all about breeding and not just the registration of sheep and taking a census of numbers. We're hoping to harness all the best breeding materials so we can put programs in place to get these good genetics out to the farmers, and we will be working closely with Green, because Green has done this type of thing, so we will be guided by them and also work hand in hand with them to get this program so that our farmers can get the best genetics.
Mr. Smith has, however, voiced his disappointment with the Agriculture Ministry, which he says needs to respect time, as more time is money.
Case in point, it took the Chief Veterinary Officer's office more than a year to send one email to the UK to verify the importation of semen for goat farmers. A year. In a year, we could have had kids reaching the age of 5 to 6 months.
Meanwhile, Deputy Chief Agricultural Officer Charleston Lucas says the Ministry of Agriculture is looking at all the ways it can capitalize on the black belly sheep.
We would also like to look at the intellectual property that might accrue from this genetic breed, from this breed that is well renowned worldwide and it is in demand from many countries. I mean, at my office sometimes you get people from the US and things asking for the sheep or for the semen. And therefore, we would also look, the government is also looking at the intellectual property, what can be gained from that, and trying to stamp it as ours in terms of being a black belly sheep. And we're also looking at the export of semen, which would bring in some foreign exchange to the country.
And Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, wants government to invest more in businesses which use all local ingredients in their products. Mr. Paul used the Earth Mother Botanicals line of products as an example, which even has black belly sheep milk in one of its soaps. He says businesses like these need the support of government, as the work they're doing is invaluable.
We spend a lot of money on, I'm not saying we shouldn't spend money on culture, the arts, we should not spend money on promoting tourism, but I think also too we are underestimating the kind of contribution that can be made by spending money on the development of products such as these. We need to stop putting farmers in the position which they don't put other people from in having to justify every iota of expenditure. And let us put some money behind things like these so that, for instance, we can see greater development in these sectors.
Celebration Time Calypso Tent is placing emphasis on developing and exposing young talent this year. The tent, now in its third year, was launched recently at the Plantation Garden Theatre as the build-up to the crop-over season gathers pace. Younger members Redman, Queen T, AC and DeCooper will complement a lineup which also includes Edwin, Little Rick, Kiomal and Donella. Tent manager Peter Boy says more encouragement is needed for young artists during the festival.
I'm a Toastmaster, and in Toastmaster we have something called the sandwich approach. So if it is that you are going to critique somebody, what you do is you start with something good, and then if there's something that is a concern, you sort of slit that in the middle, and then you finish at the end with something good, so that it's productive. But I find that what happens when we are critiquing the young people is that we start with something bad, we stick something in the middle that's worse, and then you finish with something that is bad. So that's something that we need to cease. We need to encourage our young people to get involved in the culture because that is our future. And when you come to celebration time on July the 3rd, we will be focusing and featuring the future in addition to focusing on some of the stalwarts of Calypso that you can find.
Director of the Plantation Garden Theatre, Tony Hoyas, says it's impossible to develop the cultural industries without a dedicated training institution.
And we do not have one in Barbados. We have attempts at various learning institutions, but we do not have that comprehensive, dedicated, properly staffed school that will take all of the talent that there is in Barbados and develop it to world-class standards.
Well, if you didn't get a chance to view the displays that won gold for Barbados at this year's Chelsea Flower Show in England, there's an opportunity over the next week. Starting tomorrow, continuing until the July 3rd, the gold medal floral showpiece will be on display at the Lime Grove Lifestyles Centre, Old Town St. James. The display will give the public an opportunity to see the creativity and effort that went into bringing Barbados continued recognition at Chelsea. The display will open at 10 in the morning, continue until 7 in the evening during weekdays. Well, Artistic Director for Praise Academy of Dance says she finds some businesses don't like to associate with or sponsor Christian companies. Marcia Weeks was speaking at a press launch of their July production, Glorious, The Return. Ms. Weeks says although their organization was involved in other activities outside of dancing, they still find it hard to obtain long-term corporate sponsorship.
We've found that people are willing to say, okay, here's $300 or $500, and to kind of keep you quiet, so you don't ask for anything else. But we've seen other things in the nation that might not be Christian that is very well supported. And the interesting thing about Praise Academy is that we are working with children and youth.
Well, the principal of the school, Shama Harding, says it is still hard to acquire yearly corporate sponsors, although they do receive donations.
We've actually been looking for a sponsor for the school, a corporate sponsor, someone who would work with the school and on a yearly basis. We have been seeking it, but reality of the economic times is that a lot of people don't have that extra cash. There are some people who will always help us with smaller donations, and we do have companies that whenever we need stuff, they're always there to help us. But in terms of a large corporate sponsor that would be able to do a lot more with the school and partner with the school, that we have been actively searching, and as yet we are still working on to find one.
Still to come, stories from across the region now, the Courts Quiz. In the Courts Quiz, we asked who is regarded as the father of technical and vocational education in Barbados. It's the late Augustus Rawle Parkinson. Reggae singer Buju Banton could be out of federal prison in 6 years. According to his attorney, David Oscar Marcus, Buju will be credited with the 18 months he spent incarcerated in a jail in Tampa, Florida. Mr. Marcus said 6 years is too much time, but it's much better than the 15 years he was looking at. Banton, who will be taken to a federal prison in Miami next week, was philosophical in a message he sent with Marcus, telling his children to hold strain. Buju will be deported after he finishes serving his sentence. The Organization of Eastern Caribbean States says all restrictions on the free movement of nationals within the sub-region will be removed by August. This has been confirmed by OECS Chairman and Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Stevenson King. According to him, the leaders during their meeting in St. Vincent last month recognized and unequivocally confirmed that the free movement of persons and labor is one of the principal features of the new OECS Economic Union Agreement. The OECS groups the islands of Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada and St. Lucia, along with St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla and the British Virgin Islands. The Jamaica government has delayed the signing of an agreement with private sector unions that would have brought an end to a long-standing wage dispute. Prime Minister Bruce Golding says the delay would facilitate further consultations among some public sector groups, some of whom have not agreed to the timetable for paying the outstanding arrears. No new date has been set for signing the accord. Ahead is the Lime Sports World. Before that, however, our tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it.
This hurricane season, check batteries and stock up on canned foods, first aid supplies, drinking water and medications.
Good evening, I am Mark Seal with your Lime Sports World. Some salt in the wounds. West Indies captain Darren Sammy and fast bowler Ravi Rampal have been censored by the International Cricket Council for breaches of the Code of Conduct following incidents in the final day of the opening Digicel Test against India at Sabina Park in Jamaica yesterday. But the umpires missed one on the Indian side. And while Sammy escaped with a reprimand, Rampal will have to part with 10% of his match fee for his offence. ICC match referee Jeff Crow ruled that Sammy had exhibited conduct which was contrary to the spirit of the game, while Rampal was found guilty of showing dissent at an umpire's decision. Crow explained that just like Indian player Amit Misra in the first innings, Rampal stood his ground and gestured to both the umpires on being given out. However, in Sammy's case, who was eventually given not out, he immediately looked to influence the umpire as to where the ball struck him. Crow also noted that it's a pity they didn't take note of Misra's earlier behavior because it is clear that his actions, like Sammy and Rampal, were also in breach of the code. Still with cricket, Alexandra are now a perfect 3-0 in the Lime Under-15 cricket competition. Today they defeated the Lodge at Queen Street on day 2 of Series 3. Scores: Lodge 103 and 70, Kaelan Vanterpool taking 5 for 35, Alexandra 166 for 6 declared and 8 without loss to win by 10 wickets. St. Leonard's were also in winners' row against St. George. St. George made 80 and 101. St. Leonard's 113 for 9 declared and 69 without loss to also win by 10 wickets. Meantime, after claiming first innings points over Queen's College yesterday, Ellerslie had to settle for a draw today. Playing at home, Ellerslie started the final day with a 77-run lead over Queen's College, restricting them to 79 for 8, whilst responding to 156. Batting a second time, Ellerslie declared on 131 for 9. That's a 208-run lead. Zubair Lockhart top scored with 26, while Oehi Edwards made 21. 4 wickets came from Brendan Sidaway, while there was 3 for 28 from Dante Niles. QC then took to the crease for a draw, closing on 196 for 9. Their captain, Andrea Clark, led with 55, while Lockhart took 4 for 43. Now, in another drawn game, St. Michael's made 95 for 9 and 164 for 2 declared. The Allen 82 and 92 for 7. Switching sports to football, St. James are the new Coca-Cola Barbados Secondary School's girls champions. It was mainly through the efforts of their star player, Shanice Gordon, that they blanked Alexandra 5-0 in yesterday's final. Reporting is CBC's Anne-Marie Burke.
Sometimes in team sports, there's that one player who single-handedly carries his or her team to victory. Well, for St. James secondary football team, that person was Shanice Gordon. When St. James met Alexandra in the Under-16 girls football finals, it was Gordon's time to shine. And she started with this goal. A left foot strike put St. James on the cards. Alessandra said St. Gordon was trouble, applied heavy defense and maybe a bit too much, flooring her but rewarding her a free kick, and this time it will be a powerful right foot strike that did the job. She would add a third, this time breaking through centre field, and with the Alessandra keeper way off her mark, she easily slotted it in the right corner. That was the hat-trick. And the St. James posse was in full celebration mode. Actually, the first half would end 4-0 to St. James, as Gordon, again in a prime position, uses that powerful right foot. But she wasn't intent on settling for an even 4, so beating all defenders, she made it 5-0 to St. James and got her chance to show off her dancing skills. The girls from Trent are 2011 football champions. Anne-Marie Burke, CBC Sports.
The life ban handed down on basketballer Kevin Yearwood is one in a series of judgments handed down by the local basketball association yesterday as part of a Get Tough policy. The hardest hit are the defending men's Premier League champions, Impact Station Hill Cavaliers, who Yearwood incidentally plays for. The Cavs got 3 other suspensions. Kevin Patterson, who also coaches Newberry Ballers, has been banned for 3 months for conduct towards officials during and after games, both as a player and as a coach. That suspension ends September 22nd. Andrew Allen has been suspended for his next 2 Premier League games for his conduct towards the officials after a game between the Cavs and Jackson, while Errol Pollard has been suspended until he meets with the disciplinary committee, and that meeting was set for today. Bernard Howell will miss the next 3 games for St. John Sonics for his conduct towards the officials during an intermediate game between them and Warriors, while Gregory Paul, the coach of Pinelands, has been suspended for his conduct during the Premier League match against Clapham Bulls. Charges were also brought against 5 other players, but they were cleared and no sanctions imposed. Now on to the actual court of play. Colombian Emeralds International Senators registered just their 2nd win of the season by handing Patriots their 3rd loss as the BABA's Premier League continued at the YMCA. Reporting on this game is CBC's Anne-Marie Burke.
Senators in red applied the pressure from early in their game with the Patriots, and shots like this 3-pointer was testimony they meant business. Likewise, the Patriots were not letting them get too far ahead. Julian Walcott baskets this one off the board. All hands on deck in this play as the key to getting points is good passing with a nice easy finish. Another 3-pointer of the game, this time it would be Daniel Clements. He had 13 points on the night. Also finishing with a 13-point game was Patriots Stevenson Callender, driving through the key for this basket. But Patriots were playing keep up, and despite creating some nice plays like this reverse layup, they were 14 points down at the half, 41-55. So they started the second half determined to cut the deficit, and with the turnover, Walcott was all alone for the simple one-arm layup. But Senators kept them at bay, led by this big man, Alwyn Lovell, who had a game-high 33 points. Lovell seemingly orchestrating a play, but instead made this 3 look like cake. Here he goes again, but this time passing it off for another of those 3-point plays. Senators took full control to take the game 90-81 over Patriots. Anne-Marie Burke, CBC Sports. 3 athletes have been in the final stages of their preparations for national championships this weekend at the National Stadium. This meet is a qualifier for bigger events on the track and field calendar. World Youth Championship-bound Daley Carter says he's relaxed and looking forward to a good meet.
Coming forward to nationals and stuff like that. We're doing some right now in the hurdles and stuff. We'll be partaking in the hurdles, long jump, and javelin at nationals, and I'm looking forward for a good meet.
So how is your body feeling ahead of competition?
Well, my body is nice and relaxed and stuff like that. Nationals is not a minor meet, but it's just a preparation for the World Youth, as you just mentioned.
Now, South Carolina-based sprint hurdler Kerry Beckles says she's training, and leading up to the nationals, she has been intense and has been going well. She's expecting to run a 12-pointer for the women's 100-meter hurdles.
Been getting intense, knowing that I have a mild stress fracture in my back, so we trying to back off of certain stuff in my workout. So the things I should be doing right now, I can't do, but I still progressing, even though I haven't done the things he want me to do. And all I can say right now is this weekend, you can't expect something big because I've been doing my rehab and stuff, and from today's workout and what I've been doing all last week to get ready for nationals, been extraordinary. I've not done a workout or hitting touchdown things that I've done all year like right now.
Okay, so can we expect Kerry Beckers to deliver this weekend?
Yes, we can. Sub 13 is the goal right now. So this weekend I'm looking to run 12.7 or 12.6.
Nationals actually started at 6 p.m. this evening, and they'll continue over the weekend at 4 p.m. each of the next 2 days. The Cycling Track League has been part of a very active season. CBC's Andy Thornhill reports on some of the recent action at the National Stadium.
The penultimate lap in the juniors 3,000 meters, and the Vanderpool's in a dominant position at the moment. It's a question of which Vanderpool was going to win. Xavier Alain was out of the picture. This is the real deal, and it's going to be Christian ahead of Gregory. The Vanderpools dominate, and coming third now is Xavier Alain. On to the Masters 2,000 meters. Can't keep up with Sedvin Jones. Takes out Ricky Hickson and Andrew Quinby. Next we have the juveniles / the ladies. Liam Lovell ahead of Edwin Sutherland in the juveniles, and Esther Rosemond beats Deidre Mears in the ladies. The Dynamites, it's your turn. Here comes Tanino Weeks in the 1,500 meters ahead of a Johnny Miller and Khadija Harewood. And one for the road. This is the BMX. 10 to 12. Shamar Rollins looks back and takes out Charmaine Bishop and Demario Griffith. Andy Thornhill, CBC Sports.
Tonight's business report is brought to you by Banks Holdings Limited. Many companies, one goal: excellence.
Good evening, I'm Kent Jerson, and this is the business report. Now, the international business sector is considered the second largest pillar of this island's economy. Now, the Barbados International Business Association is involved in efforts to find out exactly how much it contributes to this country. BIBA's president, Mohammed Patel, counts among his organization's successes during the past year the role it played in encouraging government to find out how much its constituents contribute to the economy. In the association's annual report, he says this will be done through an economic contribution assessment of the international business sector. According to him, the approximately $250 million in taxes government collects from the sector is well recognized and documented. He acknowledges, however, that its contributions in other areas are not so well recorded. These include employment, specifically the number of employees and gross wages and salaries, the total expenditure by international business entities, the sector's total contribution to the gross domestic product, and its impact on Barbados's balance of payments and international trade. Mr. Patel says BIBA is pleased to work with government and the consultants responsible to develop a way to measure the various economic indicators that can provide solid information on those areas. And despite the harsh economic times, Barbadians have still been flocking to Trinidad and Tobago. Vice President of the Trinidad Hotels, Restaurant and Tourism Association, Barry Bidesi, says they have seen an increase in the number of Barbadians visiting TNT for carnival, shopping and business. Mr. Bidesi was speaking just before the opening of the association's roadshow at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center last evening. Major hoteliers and retailers from Trinidad and Tobago displayed their products and services designed to showcase the Twin Island Republic as both a place for business and leisure. Mr. Bidesi says that Barbados is also a hit for Trinidadians.
I got off an aircraft this morning and there's 100 Trinis at the airport just come off a flight for the weekend in Barbados. As you're aware, it's a long weekend we're having in Trinidad. The hotel that I'm staying at, I saw an average of about 6 families from Trinidad spending the weekend. So your brand in Trinidad is also high on the agenda.
A brief look at the stocks now. Here's a summary of today's trading on some of the region's exchanges.
A very good evening to all, and sunny
hazy and breezy. Those three words summed up the weather conditions across most of the island chain today. For St. Barbados, though, we got up to a high. This was measured at 31.2 degrees Celsius. The minimum temperature over the period, 26.2. At 6 o'clock, skies were partly cloudy, still hazy at the airport, 28.1. The humidity, 82%. And the winds are out of the east at 20 kilometers per hour. No measurable rainfall at the airport today. Coming up, the satellite photo. We don't have our Eastern Atlantic satellite photo tonight, but there's one tropical wave in the Eastern Atlantic. That wave is in the vicinity of 48, 49 degrees west, with the activity to the south of 13 degrees north. Not a whole lot of convection at this time, but indications are that in another couple of days, that is going to be moving into the southern portion of the region, and things are going to be looking a little more unsettled as it moves towards the area. But for today, the high pressure ridge continued to be the dominant feature, and as a result, you would have felt those really refreshing breezes being blown into the island chain. Even though the apparent temperature made it up to 39 degrees Celsius, it was still quite comfortable. We had some shallow patches moving in and out of the island chain today, and as I indicated, no real significant shower activity. But the intertropical convergence zone down south, that brought in some showers and a few isolated thunderstorms over Trinidad and Tobago, and to a larger extent over the Guyanas. And that situation is going to be with us tomorrow. Most of the action is going to be down south, whereas the ridge of high pressure for the next 24 hours, that will continue to be the dominant feature. And in the western portion of the region, a frontal system, a tropical wave rather, that passed through us a couple of days ago, generated a significant amount of shower activity over northern Colombia and into Belize, but there's no sign really at this time of any intensification. I'll be back after the break. Welcome back, and the ridge of high pressure will continue to be the dominant feature. We're going to be seeing some shallow patches moving in and out tonight, though. A few scattered showers are expected. Down south, as I indicated, intertropical convergence zone activity, and to the west of us, the activity associated with that active tropical wave. But the wave presently along 48 degrees west by late Saturday into Sunday, that is the one that is going to be bringing most of the activity. Even though we're going to be sitting to the north of most of that action, the northward modulation of that activity should bring a few scattered showers to us. Let's take a look now at our 4-day prediction. We're going to be looking at Saturday through to Tuesday. Partly cloudy skies, few scattered showers expected. It's going to be showery and still quite breezy Saturday through, but most of the activity will be Sunday, lagging into Monday. Sunrise in Barbados tomorrow, 5:34. Sunset will be at 27 minutes after 6. The first high tide, 16 minutes to midday. The second is going to be at 27 minutes to 1. The first low tide, 5:32. The second is going to be at 4:45 in the evening. And the seas will continue to be above normal, peaking at 2.5 meters. The small craft operators and sea bathers, we are urging you to continue to be very cautious. The winds easterly to east-southeasterly, 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Our predictions for tonight, fair to partly cloudy and breezy with some scattered showers. And for tomorrow, mostly fair and breezy. Of course, a few showers coming in on the low-level floor, still possible.